The End V2 update is finally here, and today I will cover everything we currently have access to in this update, including the Mythic Enderman, the new End Zone and its special mobs, and everything we possibly can about the brand new Enderman Slayer, including a way to cheese the boss so just about anyone can beat it. If you're new around here, consider inhaling the subscribe button, and becoming one of us. I'll be posting more End update information as soon as I know it, so if you want to see it first, make sure you're subscribed. Also, join my Discord server. There's a lot of update discussion and ideas going on in there, and I'd love to talk with you all. Anyways, enjoy the guide. Hey, what's going on everyone, and welcome back to more Hypixel Skyblock. Today we have a massive End Slayer update, and I'm going to be walking through all of the new changes, as well as the new Ender Slayer itself, and how to easily defeat it and sort of cheese it. Yeah, there's something that's kind of broken at the moment. But basically, this is an End V2 style update, as we got the Park V2 way back in the day, as well as the newly released Spider's Den V2. It's the similar thing, but basically, the biggest thing that's changed is if you go over to the Dragon's Gate and you take a left, or I guess in my perspective that was a right, down this path there is the Void Sepulcher, and you hop in here, and they have two new enemies, the Voidling Fanatic, which has 750,000 health, and the Voidling Extremist, which has a whopping 8 million health, and does some decent damage. Unfortunately, it does not seem to want to hit me right now, but trust me, there we go, when I say it does a lot of damage. By the way, I'm going to be doing this video in 3/4 Ancient Necron, with the Ancient Warden's Helmet, all of it's recombobulated and maxed, as well as my fully maxed Withered Giant Sword. Now, I'm aware that Fable is actually now better than Withered, but I'm pretty much out of money and I need to save as much as I can. But diving into the new content, basically, there is one new thing that doesn't involve Slayers, and that is going to be the Mythic Enderman. And you can get this by getting the Enderman Cortex Rewinder, which is a rare drop from these new Endermen. And you upgrade it in Cat with 1 million coins, and it takes 1 hour, so it's a really easy upgrade. And you get up to 40% extra combat XP from Enderman, as you can see from the Enderman Slayer buff right there. This is incredibly useful for the Slayer itself because you can spawn the bosses a lot faster, which is what you're gonna need to do. This is a really grindy Slayer that involves more than just, you know, spamming tier 4s, because you can't kill a tier 4. Well, you can, but it's almost impossible. I'll get more into that later. But essentially, we're gonna go ahead, we're gonna bring up Maddox and our good old Maddox bat phone, and right here you can see the Void Gloom Seraph is the new option. I am currently level 3, which is pretty decent for, you know, the first like hour of it being out. But we have 4 different tiers, varying in difficulty. We have the first one, which is 300,000 health, the second one, which is 15 million, and the third one, which is 66 million. And the fourth one, as we saw from MiniCloon's leak on Twitter, has 300 million health. It's also worth noting that they changed how much each Slayer costs to start by up a little bit, so it's a little more expensive to grind out Slayers. Now, looking at the different items they've been adding in, let's take a look at level 1. We have the Voidwalker Katana. It's absolute garbage. Going on to level 2, this is where things get interesting. The first item we have is the Null Ovoid, and you craft this with the 2 stacks of Null Spheres, which is the common drop from the Enderman Slayer. Think of it as Revenant Flesh, and then 32 Enchanted Obsidian. The next item is the Soulflow pile, and this is what introduced an entirely new mechanic into Skyblock, called Soulflow. Soulflow is essentially a new version of mana, where you pretty much consume an item and it gives you a certain amount of Soulflow, and this Soulflow is bound to your character. So let's say you have an item that gives 1 Soulflow, you eat 10 of them, and you permanently have 10 Soulflow. And as you can see, this is the first item you get. It's crafted with 90 Null Spheres, so it's very cheap, but basically, when you leave combat, it converts up to 5 Soulflow into 200 Overflow mana, so you can overstack your mana just a little bit. Next up is the Lesser Soulflow Engine, and this is actually a minion upgrade you can use. It's crafted with 6 of these Null Ovoids, 48 Enchanted Eyes of Ender, and 8 Enchanted Iron Blocks. So it's very expensive, but overall, it's not too terribly difficult to get. And what this does is it allows minions to slowly generate Soulflow items, which is super duper useful if you want to get Soulflow overnight while you're offline. Then next up is the actual item Soulflow. You can get these from 160 raw Soulflows, and each raw Soulflow, you eat one, and you get 1 piece of Soulflow, or you can craft them all together and make 1 giant Soulflow item, so you don't have to sit there and click 160 times. Going into level 3, we have 3 new completely different items. The first one to cover is the Voyage Katana. It looks really good, and it's basically that sword we saw from MiniCloon's Twitter post. It gives 95 damage, 50 strength, 15 crit damage, 50 intelligence, and you deal an extra 90% damage to Enderman. But the most important ability is the right click. Soul Cry gives 200 ferocity to Enderman for 4 seconds. And if you take a look, it actually costs 1 Soulflow to use, so this is why it's important to have those different Soulflow items, and make sure you have as much Soulflow as possible. It also costs 200 mana and has a cooldown of 4 seconds, so you can only use this during half the fight. So, you use it for 4 seconds, then it takes 4 seconds to use it, then use it again. So essentially you can use it every time it runs out, and you'll have infinite 200 ferocity. So it's very important to actually have this item if you're looking out to take the higher level Slayer bosses. Next up is the Juju Short Bow, and this is basically a bow that instantly shoots 3 mobs. Nothing really much to say more about that. Then the final thing is the Soul Ward. I don't really know how to pronounce it. I think it's Ward, but basically it has the Soul Ward ability where you become invulnerable for 5 seconds. But you cannot deal damage during that 5 seconds. And then once the 5 seconds are up, it halves your damage for 2 seconds. So this is basically an item, if you're almost dead, you can use it, and then you can heal yourself up with different potions, or your what is this called? The Fluoride Sword. And you can use this only every 20 seconds. It costs 10 Soulflow and takes 350 mana. And I only have up to Ender Slayer 4, so we haven't really seen what these items are, but if you want to see what I have unlocked, we have this is what's really, really important, and this is what you're going to need in order to take out the higher level Slayers, assuming they patch the cheese I'm going to teach you guys here in a minute. Essentially, you have the Final Destination armor, which is crafted using enchanted redstone, and then some null ovoids, so it's not too terribly expensive to craft. But essentially, this is just your average Slayer gear. The more Endermen you slay, the more defense you build against them, so this is what you're going to have to use to survive the later on enemies. But basically, for every 5 seconds you're in combat, it will drain 2 Soulflow from your player, but you'll get 50 strength, 30 attack speed, 10 speed, and it multiplies your intelligence by 1.2, and it gives you an additional 200 ferocity. This is not to be mixed up with the 200 you get from the sword. You combine the sword and the armor, you're looking at 400 ferocity against Endermen. That's ridiculous, especially if you give yourself a tiger pet, you'll be getting even more. So it's important to be able to grind up to level 4 and able to get this set. It's going to take you about 120 tier 2 bosses. The reason I'm saying you don't want to fight tier 3 is, well, I'll show you what this boss looks like. I'll do a tier 1, and I'll try to show you a tier 3. But essentially, I'm going to be using my Mythic Enderman pet at the start here just to kind of spawn the boss, because I get more combat XP, and I'm going to fight one of these guys, I guess. But this boss has an entirely different mechanic than what we're used to, and I might actually die right here. Oh, I'm so gonna die. Nope, we're okay. So it has 3 different phases, and every single time you deal enough damage, then it goes into a new phase where you have to actually break down a shield. And you break down this shield by attacking it a certain amount of times. Think of the Spooky Festival enemies, where you have to punch them 10 times. No matter how much damage you deal, you have to punch them 10 times. It's similar to that. Now, you'll be able to take out tier 1 pretty easily. I'm gonna actually leave the party real quick. But once you get up to tier 2, you'll notice it gets incredibly difficult, and if you don't have basically the gear I'm using right now, you stand no chance. But now you're thinking, what if I don't want to get 3/4 neck run? What if I don't want to get a Warden Helmet or a Giant Sword or the best gear in the game? How can I take on the tier 2 and maybe tier 3 bosses? Well, you wondering why I have so many Remnants of the Eye in my inventory? There's a little bit of a cheese going on right now, and I can't promise that this will be patched when the video goes up tomorrow or tonight, whenever it is. But for right now, this is the strat that we're using to take out the boss. And if you try and use the Remnants of the Eye in this part of the end, it won't work. But if you actually go ahead and warp back to the regular part of the end before your boss spawns, it'll just let you use Remnants of the Eye. I'm not sure if this is intended or not, but this is what people are using right now to take on the tier 3 bosses. So if you want to level up your End Slayer really, really fast before, before this gets fixed, if they are going to fix this again, I don't know if they're going to fix this or not, I just assume they are, get yourself a ton of Remnant of the Eyes and just warp yourself into the, regular part of the end. So I'm going to take on a tier 3 in the video, but I can't promise I'm going to beat it because I barely beat it, even with the help of a friend. So taking on this solo, I have no idea if I'm going to be able to do this. But I'll try. So I'll punch one more time, and I'm going to go ahead and fill my inventory with remnants because I'm missing a few. So there we go. We're going to go to our island real quick. Hold on, if I can actually get to my island. And I'm going to fill my inventory up with remnants. So let's hop in here, and let's just do this, and get as many remnants as we can. By the way, if you're watching this as soon as this goes up, these null spheres, the equivalent of Rev Flesh sell for like 50,000 coins each. So you can make a ridiculous amount of money doing Ender Slayers. But here we go, warp, drag. If you want to see how this little cheese works, all you gotta do, fill your inventory with remnants, get a nice, good place to fight him, and I'll show you how this full boss works. So, here we go. I just need to take out one Enderman. We'll do it in this flat area. And, oh, we need one more. Boom. And, oh, okay. 105 out of 107. Here we go. And, please. There it is. So, I'm going to be clicking really fast, so sorry if my mic is getting destroyed by clicking. But you'll see that it has a number above its head. It says 30, and it's quickly counting down as I click. And basically, once it gets to 0, then it'll show the actual boss's health. And you want to drain this as much as you can. And once you actually get it to 0, or you get it a little bit lower, then it's going to go back to saying, oh, you need to hit the boss again a certain amount more times. So you do that. And then here we go. We have to drain it back down. It has 3 phases. And once you get to phase 2, it'll start picking up beacons. And what you want to do is you want to go run over to the beacon immediately and just touch it. If you don't run over to the beacon, then you basically die. And I haven't really wanted to test if you can live with the remnant, but I'm not going to try, so just run over to the beacon if you see it. Once it gets to phase 3, it has this glyph thing, but I haven't seen it yet. I'm a little bit scared of it, but it says we're going to take damage, so I think we're just going to try and punch it. I guess not. I'm going to ignore the glyph because we're remnant cheesing it, but there we go. And boom, it's dead. And it only took about half of my remnants of the eye, so we could fight this boss a few more times. But that's what the tier 3 looks like. The tier 4 is obviously going to absolutely destroy me because I don't deal enough damage to fight it. But essentially, it's basically the same thing. So if you're looking to get the Enderman Slayers done now, that's what I recommend doing. After this is patched, or after this method, we need to find a new one. I recommend farming tier 2s until you unlock the new armor, and then use that armor, grind some kills up so you have more defense against Endermen. But anyways, that's going to do it for this episode of Skyblock. If you guys enjoyed this guide, again, please do consider hitting that like button. Also, subscribe to the channel. We're almost at 70,000 subscribers. Like, that's a lot of subscribers. Think about it. That's almost 2 football stadiums full of subscribers. So, if you want to help me get there, that would be greatly appreciated. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.